About a year ago, I went to MegaCon in Orlando, Florida, and I was going down Artist Alley, and I found a booth full of all of this really cool safari, Indiana Jones inspired, adventurous type of stuff, comic books and paraphernalia. And I thought, I don't know what this is, but I need all of it. And I grabbed a bunch of it and bought it off of this guy that had a little skipper hat on, and he made all the stuff. And I brought it home, put it in my closet, never even really got around to looking at any of it. And I went to MegaCon again this year, a few weeks back, and I remembered, wait, I have all this stuff. Let me take a look at it. And so that's what I did. So let me show you some of the stuff called Trader Brandon. So take a look at this collection I amassed. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It all starts back in 1955 with a character named Trader Sam, which was originally an audio animatronic African character with a tribal mask at the end of Disneyland's Jungle Cruise ride. Old promotional materials from the time referred to him as Salesman Sam. Now, 8 years later, there was a Polynesian-themed Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room that opened at the Disneyland Resort, full of audio animatronic birds. That is unrelated to this, but keep it in mind because the name will pop up again. So now we're going to jump over to the 80s and the 90s when a man named Brandon Clayla, well, at the time he was a kid, he was a child actor who worked in Orlando, Florida. And when he grew up, in 2005, 2006, he worked as a Jungle Cruise skipper at Disneyland. A few years later, 2009 to 2011, he became a Disney Imagineer, and he designed Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar. And he wrote the Trader Sam backstory. And he not only did it for Disneyland, he did it for Disney World, he did it for the Disneys in Tokyo, China, etc. So Trader Sam's backstory shows that he was born around the year 1700, and he's seemingly immortal. He's a South American indigenous man of the Amazon rainforest. He's a cannibal, a shrunken head salesman, and a bartender. At one time, he befriended Captain Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean, the Swiss Family Robinson, Ned Land, the Kirk Douglas character from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Jane Porter from Tarzan, you know, Tarzan and Jane, Lampy, the Mickey Rooney character from Pete's Dragon, and Indiana Jones. And that takes us to 2020 when Brandon Clayla created the Trader Brandon comic book series. It was a 5-issue comic book series about Trader Brandon based on Brandon Clayla and his time as a skipper of the Jungle Cruise. But that's how it starts out. And then it takes a turn and goes in new directions, all based on this type of shrunken head, tiki-style, Indiana Jones type adventure. And along with the comic series, you know, he collected it together as a trade paperback. He made a soundtrack album. This is a vinyl album. He made action figures, lots of merchandise based on characters in the book. And I want to show you some of those. But before we get to that, I've just learned while doing research for this episode that all of the Trader Sam references, animatronics, and what have you have been removed from the Disney parks in the last year or two due to them currently being deemed stereotypically racist. Maybe I just don't know enough about this stuff. I hadn't realized that depicting cultures from around the world from a couple hundred years ago, you know, African and South American tribes, tribal men, Amazon River folk, this is somehow offensive. I don't know. They're just people that existed and the cultures they had. Maybe I'm just showing my ignorance. I don't know. So we'll just leave it at that. But I did find out something else. When I was at MegaCon, amongst the Trader Brandon stuff, there was another item I could have purchased, but I didn't. It was a role-playing game book that kind of went along with the theme of all this. It was a book called Mystic Libations, and it had recipes for drinks that you would get or make at the tiki bar, the Enchanted Tiki Bar, or possibly something like that. It was themed like the Trader Brandon stuff, but it also had role-playing game materials with it. Anyways, I found out what this is. This is a book written by Brandon Klayla and his dungeon master and good friend, Todd Stashwick, who I just spent the last couple months watching as Captain Shaw in Season 3 of Picard. Who knew? So I didn't get the separate comics. I got them all collected together in this trade paperback, just to save money, I guess. It would be easier to look at if they were separate comics instead of having to fold it back and what have you, but the trade paperback does include some extra material in the back, so it was a good purchase. So let's take a look at these credits. We've got script and interior colors. That's Brandon Klayla. He's the creator of all of this. We've got line art and trade cover by Dan Schoening. Now, he is a comic artist that worked on G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Godzilla, Mask, and more. You've got trade cover colors, Luis Antonio Delgado. You know what? Forgot to look him up. And you've got covers by Wayne Barnes. Now, this is an artist that does old 80s style facsimile comic covers for stuff like Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and more. There's a name that's not on the cover in the credits here, Josh Bailey. He's an Orlando-based graphic designer, and he's the man responsible for putting this type of stuff onto the cover. This aged look, the various graphics to make it look like one of those old men's adventure magazines. It's a great look. It would be easier to see if it was the original comic, but like I said, I just have the trade paperback here. So we got this great cover with Trader Brandon underwater, escaping from a hippo. Now in comic form, The Untold Adventures of Trader Brandon, first issue. So this is just a great design. You see this pattern here, this old type of pattern like you would see in these old magazines and what have you. This is all just new modern software that creates this look, but I love it. It's great art style here. It reminds me of old reading, the first year or two of G.I. Joe comics. It was kind of this art style. I don't remember who drew the stuff back then. Herb Trimpe, maybe. Let's see here, but this is a good style. Nice and simple, it's easy to read. In fact, this was a very fast read for me. Just kind of flows, it's not too wordy. Great fun adventure. You got this cinematic introduction of Trader Brandon, all in shadow. Ooh, check out the giant hippo, pretty scary. You really get the Jungle Cruise feel. I like this. Now, this is some of the stuff I was talking about, like this guy, he's called a Well-Dressed Man. See this cane with this little head topper? This head topper is one of the pieces of merchandise that Brandon had at MegaCon to buy. He also had the pendant or medallion that Trader Brandon wears on a necklace. He had coins from one of the restaurants they visit. Look at all this stuff. He had his whole booth at MegaCon decked out with these like tribal masks and shrunken heads. It's really great. So they're making a deal. This well-dressed man is offering Trader Brandon some money to basically go on this quest to purchase something. And here comes the secret reveal. Under this cloth is Trader Brandon's secret friend, this talking shrunken head. I love this twist. There's that medallion I was talking about. Interesting choice of colors. I mean, look at the sky. It's like mustard yellow with red clouds. It's great. Love the old safari Jeep. Even the color and texture of the paper is made to look like old pulp magazines. The only thing that takes away from this is that it's this glossy paper. I don't know what you call this type of paper now. When I was a kid, it was called Baxter paper. I kind of don't really like this high quality paper. I like the old newsprint cheap paper of comics when I was a kid, because, like, I'll show you, if I turn this light on, it just creates this glare, but on an old comic it wouldn't have that, so I'll just shut that off. So here we've got the second issue. Heart-pounding second issue. This is great, this like treehouse, oh, the walkways and the skulls. This is just a really fun comic. Compass, map, oh, he's got a old safari photo up on the wall. So this is the restaurant they're in, where the Green Parrot Cafe that Brandon had like coins of and stuff that you could buy. Check out how huge that guy is. Boy, I love this. See, he doesn't get busy with the backgrounds when it's not needed. You know, there are no backgrounds when it's not needed, and then he puts them in. I like this art style. I like the writing style. I like the story. It's a fun adventure. Quick read, drawn really well. Smash! Great action. Look at that. It's pretty cool. The light shining out into the darkness. That's awesome. So the shrunken head's name is Kingsley. A spear in the tire. See, look. There they are, out in the darkness. Tribesmen. I'm not going to be deemed racist for reading this, am I? I mean, you know, the canoes. You know, as I go through this comic and think about the merchandise and everything associated with this, it really inspires me for a direction I want to take for my comic about my time at the company Sunken Treasure back in 1992, and the comic I made back then called Adventures in Treasure Hunting. I'm wanting to put together a new comic, maybe a magazine, like a men's adventure style pulp magazine, with this type of old graphic design, this adventure feel, and recreate that old comic, but tie in elements of what I was doing in real life at the time. The reason for that is because the comic, just like Trader Brandon here, is basically the comic book version of Brandon Clayla. In my Sunken Treasure comic, it featured me and the other people that worked for the company as characters set in the past on a treasure ship that was attacked by pirates, and it was sunken. And then you flash forward to modern day, and it's me and everyone at the company as modern people, but now we're working for the company Sunken Treasure, and we're, you know, diving for the treasure from sunken ships and our adventures in that. And so there you go. We're already in the story. I could incorporate the elements of just how I got associated with that company and everything that went on with it, and just make it just a fun, cool adventure. And I'd like to put in a lot of the culture like I did back then. I had a lot of interesting things I included in that comic. In fact, I hid a different Easter egg on every page of that comic. And I'm going to do that again when I recreate it. You can see it gets this supernatural element. You see, the well-dressed man has turned the tables on Trader Brandon. It was a setup the whole time to get this shrunken head, to get Kingsley as the final head he needed for the collection. Sorry if I'm giving away the story. And then with that, he's able to amass his undead army. Hey, it doesn't matter if you know a little bit about what's going to go on. It's still a fun read. I mean, I would go back and reread this over and over again, even though I've seen how it turns out. Look at that. In fact, while I was growing up, people would have to usually sell me on the idea of a movie or something that I hadn't seen by explaining to me what happens, making it sound cool and exciting, and then I'm like, oh, I want to go see that too. For whatever reason, at some point in the last couple of decades, you're not able to do that anymore. You can't say anything about anything without people just saying, spoilers, come on, dude, spoilers. You just ruined it. Whatever. And let me show you look at this. Double page spread. Got the guy on the horse. Looks like young Indy from The Last Crusade. Out here in the jungle. The train. Woo! I love this. And here we go. The cover to the final issue. The 28-page epic conclusion. Is this the end of the line? See, I love this graphic design. Putting the fake little price sticker on there. It's firing my imagination. This kind of reminds me of my Mystery Train experience. Of course, we didn't have undead, shrunken head zombies on there, but it was a murder mystery. It's so adventurous. Oh, I like this. He's got kind of like a white outline around each character just to help them stand out. But it also kind of looks like, you know, they're like drawn and printed out on paper and kind of stood up on like a toy train. I don't know. It's kind of fun. You got your biplane action. Very Indiana Jones. Speaking of Indiana Jones, Brandon Clayla had a hand in designing and decorating bits of the Indiana Jones rides and stuff at the theme parks as well. Now look at this. So unexpected. Explosion and out comes Quetzalcoatl. He's got all the shrunken heads. And you've come to the end of the story. It's a nice, compact, 5-issue complete story. I'd love to see more of this. He hasn't made any more yet, well, at least nothing has come out. So here we've got the artwork for the trade paperback cover. And we've got this backstory, you know, about Brandon Clayla, about Dan Schoening, and these fantastic pencil sketches, roughs, and concepts. This is like, I mean, I think I like this better than the actual art in the comic. This kind of rough, this is really a talented, very skilled artist. Look at this. Wow. I mean, I love this. These are fantastic. This is great. I want to start sketching. Yeah, this really puts you in the mood to start drawing. And so here is the original art for each of the comic books issues without that type of old-timey graphic design placed on top of it. This is just the unadorned raw artwork. So you get to see the difference between the original and then what the graphic designer added to it. And here we've got the acrylic painting used for the vinyl album cover, which I'll show you in a second. This is just the original painting. There was a graphic design element added to that album as well to make it look like an authentic old album. So let's take a look. Right here. This is great. Look at this. I love this. He even has like the wear and tear of the old album. Limited edition. The Trader includes the Trader Brandon theme. I mean, this guy really went all out with his creation. He commissioned an actual soundtrack album for his comic series and had it put on vinyl album. Now, when I bought this, he said, oh, there's a digital, you can get the digital download too with every purchase of the album. So, because, you know, I don't have a record player. So I was like, great. But I think it must be some kind of a code on a piece of paper or something where you can download. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be inside here because I'm not going to take this out of the shrink wrap. So look, number 205 of 500. So it's limited. So what I did was I went online, I went onto his website, traderbrandon.com, and I bought the digital download copy. It is a 24-minute soundtrack, and I listened to it while reading the comic. It's it's actually really well made. It's got a great feel to the sound. I love it. I mean, he went all out on his creation. Look at this. I had to look this up, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a thing you put down on your record player, and then you put the record on top of it. This is a creation I read of DJs. I don't know if it helps keep the record from getting destroyed when scratching. I don't know, but you can also put it on top of a record and put a second record on top of it. It keeps them from getting damaged or something. There's a reason for it. Come on. I just saw it there. I was like, oh, I need that too. So I got it. I think he threw it in for free, or it just comes with the album or something. I don't know, but I wanted it. But take a look at this. He made an action figure. I mean, Trader, look, he's got the little shrunken skull of Kingsley on his waist. He did so much for this. It's so awesome. So like an actual toy that I would have played with as a kid. This is so cool. Then as you look on the back, it looks like, there's other figures in the line. These are the well-dressed men. These are the characters from the comic. The Jeep. And check this out. He did the Green Parrot Cafe as a playset. You can see it is the old Kenner-style Star Wars Cantina playset, but redecorated. Just like in real life, Kenner redecorated that playset as it was a Western-style cantina for the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid toy line. And, they repurposed their toys for later properties. A lot of the Ewok stuff was repurposed later on for the Kevin Costner Robin Hood film. So now none of this stuff actually exists. He didn't make any more, but what a fun toy line that would be. But this is just a great addition on the back. It makes you think, like, these could exist. This would be fun to play out these adventures of Trader Brandon. I love this. I'm telling you, the ideas here, just the execution, how much he put into this, the merchandise, the how much fun it was. I have to incorporate those elements into my sunken treasure thing. Adventures in treasure hunting. And I get this little postcard too. This was issue 4. Tells you all about it. Got this little sticker of Kingsley. These were like, free handouts he gave at the convention. And I think these are like drink stirrers or something. Bloodthorn. I don't know. In fact, I looked at Todd Stashwick's website, where he also sells his book Mystic Libations that he was the co-author of. And he has, I think they're orange ones of this with a different name on it. And since that book is all about like role-playing game drinks and recipes and stuff, I think these are some kind of drink stirrers. I don't know. What's funny, though, is even though Brandon co-authored that book all about drinks, and he was the designer of the tiki bar, he doesn't actually drink alcohol in real life, like me. So there you have it. Trader Brandon. Go to traderbrandon.com and pick yourself up some of these things before they run out. I don't know. This isn't endorsed by him. I just like the stuff. So until next time.